January 6th, a bunch of morons engaged in a very lightweight act of domestic terrorism by essentially breaking through some barriers, overpowering security guards and police officers to enter the Capitol building. There were some injuries to some police officers. There were some subsequent deaths, not directly linked, but seemingly through suicides. I think there's been 5. Whether or not they're connected to what happened on that day, I don't know. There was 1 death from a woman that tried to enter into an area where politicians were hiding, and a security guard opened fire. And so I've said this, it's already there publicly. This rules me out with the right gang. It's an act of domestic terrorism. You shouldn't have been doing it. You shouldn't have been there. That's what the barriers were for. You engaged in an act of civil disobedience, and any of the consequences from that, be it jail time or whatever it is, that's the cost. And they're all fucking morons. But I've also said on why I can't be in the left gang. Anyone who believes for a fucking second that it was a coordinated coup d'etat where no one had any weapons, there was no structural hierarchy to it, no one had any plan, the fact that Americans don't recognize what a coup d'etat looks like when they fund them all over the fucking world in other legit democracies is staggering to me. It's almost as if your media didn't tell you about that, dear America. It wasn't a coup. It was not a coup attempt. And we also know that despite there being FBI agents in there, they didn't seem too intent on stopping it for some reason. How strange. So I am not on board with the January the 6th hysteria, and never have been, and never will be. And, as I said, domestic terrorism, sure. Coup d'etat, absolutely not, no. And again, domestic terrorism's enough, guys. But why do they want to frame it as a coup d'etat, you might wonder? Why does it have to be an insurrection? Why does it have to be a coup d'etat? Why is it this was too far, but burning down a police station isn't? It's very interesting. And what you realise is, well, what January the 6th represents, there's a reason why all the Democrats are out there saying this is worse than 9/11. At least 9/11 were Islamic extremists. These were Americans. That was a talking point repeated by every Democratic PAC, including absolute garbage like Brooklyn Dad. And people repeted it. And, let me tell you, first of all, if you think January the 6th is in any way worse than the horror of September the 11th, and I did a stream specifically about this on the September the 11th anniversary, you're mentally ill. The end. It's one of the most visceral, horrific terrorist atrocities ever committed. But what happened after September the 11th, my dear Zoomers, and Boomer Gang knows, is America rushed through something called the Patriot Act. Joe Biden helped write it because he's a great liberal. And basically what the Patriot Act was an agreement that extreme Islamic terrorism was such an existential threat to America after 9/11. We were all going to have to give up some fundamental freedoms, all of them related to privacy and digital monitoring. And before, there was a lot of laws around that. A lot of laws. I couldn't just tap your phone with impunity. I couldn't listen to a call if it wasn't pertinent to the topic. I had to get a judge to sign off on a warrant before I could even do these things. And therefore, a judge would need to see cause. What the Patriot Act did was erode your civil liberties, made it so they could just intercept your emails, just read your emails, tap your phone. If they could in any way sort of tie you or have reasonable suspicion you might be a terrorist, or even accessing extremist literature on the internet, which was, as we've seen from other cases, they certainly had a broad interpretation of that. And they turned the NSA into an organization that exclusively spied on the American people, it seemed. You know, all your dick pics you've ever sent, they've got them. All the porn you've ever watched, they know. And we didn't find out about it until Snowden did the whole whistleblowing thing. And the Patriot Act, I think it got re-upped in, like, it was a 20-year bill or something. They let it lapse, and then they did a redrafted version, which I haven't even read it, but probably just has more of the same, if not more oppression in it. So, you see how a tragedy happens, the government seizes upon it, and you lose your civil liberties. Far be it from me to make any parallels about what's happening today. But we'll talk about this. January the 6th is a tragedy in the eyes of many people. And as a result, and it's been built up to be way scarier than it actually was. It was an assault on democracy. It was coup d'etat. They're going to take it. They would have sworn in Trump as God Emperor for life, and there's nothing we could have done about it. No, I mean, you couldn't just deploy the military and fix that problem in about 2 minutes, could you? But whatever. So anyway, why do we talk about this? Because January 6th is a tragedy. Governments exploit tragedies for their own personal gain. They tell you you're not safe. They tell you there's an existential threat, not to your life, but to the very way of life, the fabric of your societal existence. That's a much more profound threat. Like, your life is but one thing. Governments were very often willing to sacrifice it, but your way of life, the society within which you exist would affect your children, your children's children, and we might never get society back ever again. That's when you know a government's coming for your shit. A government's coming for your shit when they tell you your way of life is threatened. It happened after September the 11th, and it happened after January 6th. And the thing that they are going after now is the internet. 2016, Donald Trump, love him or hate him, he wasn't supposed to win. He represented a deviation from the orthodoxy of American politics, which is this emerging crisis for them. What if billionaires with big cults of personality can buy the presidency? Now, I don't like that either, by the way. The fact that democracy can become a plaything for the wealthy, and essentially an ego contest between oligarchs, wealthy people, and oligarchs and wealthy people. I don't like that. But let's not pretend the American approach to democracy doesn't solely serve the elites anyway, right? So, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, if presented with a choice of Hillary Clinton, one of the most corrupt politicians in modern American times, along with her husband, and Donald Trump, who's probably a corrupt businessman, but at least he's not been a corrupt politician, I'll go with the corrupt businessman who hasn't been a politician before, because give them the go-around over the corrupt politician. That's my thinking. So in 2016, Donald Trump employed meme magic to win an election. It was a strange time. I covered it extensively. All my podcasts were about that. All my videos were about that. You know, it was weird. We had to pretend a cartoon frog was racist because Donald Trump's son tweeted one out. And Hillary Clinton's website published an article saying it was racist. She then strong-armed the ADL into saying it was racist, got the Daily Beast, a publication on which her daughter sits, Chelsea Clinton sits on the board, and they got them to run a story, and then Hillary Clinton deleted the original article, leaving us with the idea that a cartoon frog called Pepe is worse than a swastika. I won't engage in that madness. For the next 4 years, we didn't hear the end of it, did we? We didn't hear the end of it. We heard, oh, he's a fascist. He's Putin's agent. He's going to create literal death camps. He won't leave the White House. We heard it all, didn't we? Bill Maher just did a video the other day saying when he runs in 2024, it's actually still part of the coup from January the 6th. And as I'll get to when we get to the Facebook stuff, between, you take this to the bank, clip this. Between now and 2024, the DNC are going to find a way to make it so Donald Trump can't run. They're going to try. I'm not saying they'll succeed, but as it gets closer, you're going to see them try and come up with a legal ruling that would prevent him from running, perhaps based around his impeachment, perhaps based around this coup that never happened. So, in the 2020 election, it was imperative that Biden won. And so, entities on the internet, like social media companies and journalistic outlets, with their failing standards and lies about how they treat things equally, decided they would lower their standards even more. Perhaps most notably was when the Hunter Biden laptop story dropped. And what did the Hunter Biden laptop story show? Well, first of all, it showed Hunter Biden is a baller, right? He smokes crack, and he has lots of sex, and he's got a big dick. Well done. But more importantly than any of that, it showed he was potentially compromised by foreign powers. Not great if you're the son of someone who's going to be the most important person in the world. And it had a bunch of emails and a bunch of texts that heavily suggested his job at a power company was a bid to gain access to the American presidency, because Joe Biden was vice president at the time. And also we know Joe Biden stopped a investigation into Burisma, the company his son was working at. There were also emails and texts that said, listen, I'll meet you and I'll kick up some money to the big guy. And I wonder who the big guy could be. So that's a pretty big bombshell story. Hard to imagine in a media landscape that literally said Donald Trump Jr. Had been colluding with WikiLeaks to subvert the election because they sent him one DM asking him to give them his father's tax returns. Kind of seems insane that they ignored it. But they didn't just ignore it. They went one further. They deleted it. They deleted it from the internet. Facebook deleted it. Twitter deleted it. They banned any journalist that reposted it. They locked the New York Post, the oldest newspaper in America. They locked them out of their Twitter account. Then, as we now know from documentation that's been released, the CIA... This is mental. The CIA told Twitter they were definitely right to do that because it was Russian disinformation. And they had 50 sources that confirmed that. And as a result of that, it got banned everywhere. And then it turned out it wasn't Russian disinformation. It turned out it's 100% Hunter Biden's laptop. And it turns out those emails and those texts are 100% real. And it also turns out Joe Biden used a special service, the Secret Service rather, to get his son off some weapons charge. Because obviously he's got previous for fucking drugs and he had some weapon that wasn't registered correctly. And we ignored that. But it's okay, because, you know, we got Joe Biden over the finish line. So that's the main thing, right? We've made someone with clear and obvious dementia the most powerful person in the world. Nope. No, he isn't. He doesn't run America. He is but a mouthpiece and a spokesperson for the shadowy cabal of politicians that stand behind him. In fact, what America has now got is the Vatican. It's not an extension of your democracy as you know it. For a country that's fucking obsessed with preserving your democracy, you've got the Vatican. Joe Biden is a pope. He's nearly fucking 80. He's got dementia. And he's just being pushed from fucking pulpit to fucking badly read whatever his party want him to say off a fucking auto cue. And like a lot of people in the Vatican, he likes to smell kids. So the comparison really fucking holds up. The social media companies worked in lockstep with the DNC to get Joe Biden elected because Donald Trump was considered such an existential threat because he tried to lead a coup, a very real coup, that happened on January the 6th, and that's why in the first time ever, we've just seen a former president of the United States completely unpersoned. Oh, the media won't shut up about him. But where is Donald Trump? That's right. Donald Trump is banned from Pinterest. Like, fucking think about that. Think about how ridiculous that is. And of course, he's banned from Twitter, and he's banned from Reddit, and he's banned from any platform ever on the internet. They did their job. And I told you, after January, I said, right, this is going to be the new fealty test. The DNC is going to go to these tech companies, and they're going to go, right, you did a great job in getting Joe elected. We're very grateful for you. But now, you have to understand there's a very real, because Joe is going to shit the bed. And we don't know what the fuck we're doing. And we promised to shut down the virus, and more people died this year than before they had the vaccine. And we promised we'd fix the economy, and the jobs report is garbage. And now we want to increase spending for infrastructure. For just a mere $3.5 trillion. Oh, and we're about to default on our debt for the first time in history. Don't worry about it, though. Pope Joe's got it on fucking lockdown. And of course, you can't pretend the previous guy was good at his job. You can't. Can't say that. So even though things have got appreciably worse these last 10 months in America, the price of gas is $4 fucking, right? Imagine that. America, the only country that fucking has alliances with all the evil countries that have oil, invades the countries that won't be part of that alliance and takes their oil and can't give you cheap oil. Wow. These tech companies that help get Joe over the line, right? They've been told, listen, we're just going to fuck this up. So we need to retain power to get this done. We're the party of good. We're the ones that are going to fix all of the institutional shit. And we're going to put the progressive agenda in, as well as probably, do some stuff to appeal all our secret neocon base and big corporations. Because Joe Biden, of course, is fucking, Wall Street Joe, isn't he? They all love him there. So we have to stop Donald Trump being elected. So we need you guys to acquiesce to government control if you're not willing to work with us. And that's the deal on the table for all the tech companies now. Maybe we repeal 230 and fuck you up that way. Maybe we just fucking regulate your product. Maybe we don't let you take investment from China. There's a million ways the DNC can fuck you up if you're a tech company. Now, fortunately, most of them are aligned. And then we get to Facebook. Facebook, they play ball sometimes. They don't play ball other times. The dirty secret is Facebook's a piece of shit company in terms of what it does to you as a human, right? It uses your data in outrageous ways. It leaks your data in outrageous ways. It's bad for teenagers, and Instagram's a horrible platform, and they experiment on you without your knowledge, and they listen in to things you say on your phone and then send you targeted ads without your knowledge or approval. Yes, this is all true. But when it simply comes to the matter of the political content world, they're the fairest platform of all. Conservatives do very well on Facebook. It's where all the boomers are. It's where their base is. They get to spread their messages. But now, no. Facebook is bad, and it must be regulated. In fact, it just turns out that according to this whistleblower, who's not a whistleblower, but according to this whistleblower, it's the worst platform of all. And maybe it's the only platform we need to regulate. How fucking strange. So the Wall Street Journal started running a series of articles called the Facebook Papers or something, where what they were doing was they were getting information fed to them from a whistleblower inside the company, and basically everything you could say bad about a company was being exposed. And I went over this on another stream, so I'll only give you a few little tidbits. But the bottom line was, inside of Facebook, there was for the purposes of banning people from the platform, there was a special whitelist for celebrities and influential people, right? And it was called X-Check, and you can see there's slides of it there. It talks about whitelisting, all of that stuff. And for example, this enabled Neymar, I think it was, a Brazilian footballer, to essentially post revenge porn on his platform. Yeah, it was Neymar. He had more than 150 million followers on Instagram, and a woman had accused him of sexually assaulting her, and he posted nude photos of her and saying, this bitch is extorting me, and Facebook didn't delete them for ages and didn't ban him either, which is mental. The optics of a story like that are horrific, aren't they? And the hits kept coming. It was then, and another story they leaked, they showed that basically internally in Facebook, they knew that Instagram was bad for teenagers, that it caused them to get depressed and have like low self-image. They'd done psychological studies on it, and they just kept it running anyway. And incredibly, which is really gross, said, what if we just made one specifically for teenagers? Brilliant. That is a good idea. And obviously, Facebook, they knew they were going to get fucking railed because after January 6th, there was a lie being spread that the people that had organized the rally for January 6th, none of these things are real, had congregated and done it via Facebook. Keep in mind that suggestions to create a special committee to find out where the fuck coronavirus came from, which we all fucking know, they've been rejected resolutely. Oh, no, think of what it would do. I mean, what if the Chinese took offense at it? We've already fucked up with this submarine plan. It's going to escalate tensions. And yet, we know what happened on January the 6th. There's no great fucking mystery to it. And they're going to have a special committee. Right. Congressional panel investigation for January the 6th, insurrection, of course, demands... I mean, remember, I seem to remember a protest group actually stood outside the White House burning shit in Washington. Like, but, you know, nothing to worry about there. Like, January the 6th insurrection demands records from Facebook, Twitter, and other tech firms. And here you go. The House Select Committee investigating the deadly invasion of the Capitol on January 6th said Friday it is demanding a trove of records from 15 social media companies, including Facebook, Twitter, Google, and a slew of pro-Trump platforms. The request for records, stretching back to the spring of 2020, are related to the spread of misinformation, efforts to overturn the 2020 election or present the certification of the results, domestic violent extremism, and foreign influence in the 2020 election. They say a slew of pro-Trump platforms, 4chan, 8kun, Gab, Parler, Snapchat, Telegram. By the way, Telegram, based in Russia, created by the Russian billionaire that made VK, they will only comply with law enforcement from around the world if you can show, you can provide a judge's warrant saying that they're a terrorist suspect. They're going to tell the American government to stick it right up their arse. But how curious. Oh, you want the Russians to help you now. How very strange. Anyway, the Donald.win, which was the subreddit, the Donald, they went to their own site, Twitch, guys. And they're included in the slew of pro-Trump platforms down here. Yes, that notorious. Twitch banned Donald Trump, by the way. As if he was going to do a fucking Fallout Vegas speedrun. Twitter troll arrested, accused of election interference related to disinformation campaign. This was a guy who literally just posted memes, I mean, some of which were anti-Semitic, but they're not arresting him for that. And they said that he was an alt-right figure who was interfering with the election. That's where all of this is going, guys. This is happening. You're all going to be that. Facebook are getting wrecked, right? Having all these leaks. They're the company that the DNC are really going after. And then the whistleblower emerges. So Facebook whistleblower come out and did an appearance on 60 Minutes, like that. Not in shadow. Not with a voice modulator, like, yeah, I'm deep inside and the web and blah, and I know everything inside the company, and, you know, a little red dot at the end of a cigarette, like, you know, everything else silhouette. No, not like that, right? Not like that. Like, just out. Just out. And there she is. Frances Haugen. She's a 37-year-old former Facebook product manager who worked on civic integrity issues at the company. She joined in 2019. That's part of the story. Because Richard knows an op when he sees one, because I've been following American politics for a while. The thing I saw at Facebook over and over again was there were conflicts of interest between what was good for the public and what was good for Facebook. And Facebook over and over again chose to optimize for its own interests, like making money. What a shock. Big American company prioritizes profit over people. Madness. Haugen, who started at Facebook in 2019 after previously working for other tech giants like Google and Pinterest, is set to testify on Tuesday before the Senate subcommittee on consumer protection, product safety, and data safety. I've seen a bunch of social networks, and it was substantially worse at Facebook than anything I've seen before. At some point in 2021, I realized I'm going to have to do this in a systemic way. I'm going to have to get out enough documents that no one can question that this is real. Facebook has aggressively pushed back against the reports, calling many of the claims misleading, and arguing that its apps do more good than harm. Every day our team has to balance the protecting the ability of billions of people to express themselves openly and the need to keep our platform a safe and positive place, said Facebook spokesperson Lena Pletch. We continue to make significant improvements to tackle the spread of misinformation and harmful content. To suggest we encourage bad content and do nothing is just not true. Several hours after the interview aired, Pletch released a more than 700-word statement laying out what it called missing facts from the segment and saying the interview used select company materials to tell a misleading story about the research we do to improve our products. I mean, 60 Minutes, by the way, are already fucking clearly editing shit and not doing their due diligence. Go look at what they did with the fucking DeSantis stuff. Let me tell you, right, how insane this is and how slick this is. And why you should be skeptical about this with all of the background I've just get you. I can't think of a time in American history where a whistleblower, like think big tobacco and think pharma companies, I can't think of a time when we've had a whistleblower that's come out to protect the American people, think Snowden, right? I can't think of a time where within a day they're in front of a fucking committee. When's that ever happened? You know, more often than not, as soon as they're fucking outed, there's a bunch of powerful people fucking them up. From the country that persecuted Julian Assange, and as we now know, even under Donald Trump, who he was allegedly in cahoots with, Donald Trump asked the CIA, like Hillary before him, can we just murk this cunt? Just openly, like that. You know, we do assassinations all over the world, all of the fucking time. Can we just do this cunt? Well, he's in an Ecuadorian embassy in London, so it might cause something of an international incident, sir. The brazenness of the American political machine. I'll also remind you, hilariously, it was Joe Stalin who famously said, it is easy to solve all problems. No man, no problem. Yep. So she just gets to waltz in and have her day before the subcommittee, the January, but you'll notice specifically the January 6th committee, and she's going to tell them everything they wanted. Incredibly. She's going to tell them that, yep, Facebook is evil and helped orchestrate a coup, which, by the way, we know they didn't do it via Facebook. There was an analysis. Let me just show you this. What happened was, basically, you remember when they shut down Parler? Shortly after that, the media said, listen, forget Gab and Parler. It was really Facebook all along. And that's the narrative. And Facebook executives have denied it and said, we shut down, we shut down Donald Trump himself. I mean, We don't understand why you would think our moderation policies aren't there. But it's also Facebook won't fucking just kick all the fucking Republican content off its platform. And that's what this is really about. And I'll demonstrate it. So Adam Schiff appeared to signal earlier this week that Haugen would be speaking with the committee, with the committee, tweeting on Monday. According to this Facebook whistleblower, shutting down the civic integrity team and turning off election misinformation tools contributed to the January 6th insurrection. The select committee will need to hear from her and get internal info from Facebook to flesh out their role. She was very explicit. She's the perfect whistleblower, too perfect. There's no uncomfortable truths to sift through, just exactly what the committee wants to prove. That Facebook whistleblower says the company engaged in a betrayal of democracy because it scaled back anti-misinformation efforts following the 2020 presidential election. How convenient. It's just all there. Just what you want. Here's an extract from some of the committee stuff. Director of Policy Communications, Lena Pietsch, so it was an I, not an L, has issued an official response to the allegations made by former Facebook product manager Frances Haugen. Today, a Senate Commerce Subcommittee held a hearing with a former product manager at Facebook who worked for the company for less than 2 years, had no direct reports, never attended a decision point meeting with C-level executives, and testified more than 6 times to not working on the subject matter in question. We don't agree with her characterization of the many issues she testified about. Despite all this, we agree on one thing. It's time to begin to create standard rules on the internet. It's been 25 years since the rules for the internet have been updated, and instead of expecting the industry to make societal decisions that belong to legislators, it's time for Congress to act. And what's hilarious about this is she's saying this whistleblower's bullshit and has no fucking credibility, but you know what? Yeah, we need to regulate the internet. And it's like, you're the fucking internet. The elephant in the room is, for the longest time, these tech companies are sick of it. I don't know if you noticed, but for 4 fucking years, they've been hauled up in these fucking in front of committees, and you banned a conservative account, and they go, no, we didn't, and we would never have an ideological bias. It's totally impossible, and they've lied to Congress a bunch of times. Jack Dorsey is sick of it. He's going to fuck off from Twitter very soon. He's going to sell up his shares in Twitter, and he's going to go and make a cryptocurrency company. Facebook, by the way, already transitioning into cryptocurrency. They've already got one. I think they're just wondering whether or not they're going to make it fucking fiat or not. And they're sick of it. They don't want to regulate the rules on the internet. And every time somebody does something on their platforms, they're being told, yeah, okay, we should let people freely express themselves on your platform, but you can't house this type of content. So that's got to go. And then, okay, right, we get rid of the racist content. We all agree. Good. Okay, right, now we can have the internet back. Yeah, but what about the sexist content? Yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah, we get rid of the sexist content. Okay. Yeah, but what about the transphobic content? Oh, well, of course, yeah, we get rid of that. All right, okay, now we got rid of that. And then it's like, now what? Well, this stuff doesn't really align with our corporate interests or our political interests, and it's not very nice. In Germany, by the way, they stormed the house of somebody that called a politician a shit. They stormed the house of him and arrested him. It's not just America that's going to get fucked up with this stuff. They are taking away your fundamental right to mock the people who rule over you. They are moving to a new form of neo-feudalism. You are the peasants now. This, our little peasantry square where we get to shoot the shit, is being infiltrated and astroturfed. We're not even allowed this anymore. It's dark, guys. So what does Haugen propose as a solution to the Facebook problem? No, I don't want to break up Facebook. She'd like to let the company remain a $1 trillion monopoly, but create a federal agency to regulate it, which is made up exclusively from former Facebook employees. Wow, what a suggestion. Let me just show you a couple of stories here. Keep in mind, Facebook has, there's no need for them to be attacking them this way, but they're going to anyway for reasons of securing power. I won't even bother going into a paywall for this. The headline tells it all. Facebook employees, this is 2018. Facebook employees overwhelmingly back Democrats. God, who saw that coming? And then if you go and look at Politico, and this is from 2020, former Facebook employees were brought into the fucking Biden administration to help with the fucking transition. Former Facebook leaders are now transition insiders. So yes, I am sure a federally regulated body that gets to censor one and only one website, backed entirely by Democrat supporters, would be absolutely entirely fair and better for society. Is this fucking Russia? Like, what is this shit? Like, are you fucking mental? We laugh at shit like this in other countries, don't we? We go, oh, look at China, look how they don't get to hear the truth. Look at the Great Firewall. Look at what America is doing.
Good afternoon, Chairman Blumenthal, Ranking Member Blackburn, and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you. My name is Frances Haugen. I used to work at Facebook. I joined Facebook because I think Facebook has the potential to bring out the best in us. But I'm here today because I believe Facebook's products harm children, stoke division, and weaken our democracy. The company's leadership knows how to make Facebook and Instagram safer, but won't make the necessary changes because they have put their astronomical profits before people. Congressional action is needed. They won't solve this crisis without your help. Yesterday, we saw Facebook get taken off the internet. I don't know why it went down, but I know that for more than 5 hours, Facebook wasn't used to deepen divides, destabilize democracies, and make young girls and women feel bad about their bodies.
Yeah, it was a mad coincidence, wasn't it? Was a mad coincidence, wasn't it, ladies and gentlemen? That while all this was happening, all of Facebook's shit went down, and Facebook released a statement saying that it definitely wasn't anyone hacking them or nothing to do with this, and definitely not planting evidence or anything like that, because that's a conspiracy theory. And it actually was just that the code has just got the routing wrong briefly and couldn't fix it for 5 hours. Crazy.
It also means that millions of small businesses weren't able to reach potential customers, and countless photos of new babies weren't joyously celebrated by family and friends around the world. I believe in the potential of Facebook. We can have social media we enjoy that connects us without tearing apart our democracy, putting our children in danger, and sowing ethnic violence around the world. We can do better.
You see, it's the same game. It's the old game. Hi everybody. I am someone deeply entrenched with a political party, and the world is bad, and our political party is the only party that can fix the problem and take away the bad. And so you must elect us and swear fealty to us and support us no matter what. And if you don't, I might have to question why, because we are the party of good and everyone else is the party of evil. It's that simple. You've got to be on the right side of history. Surely on this topic, we can all agree. And then they rinse and repeat that for every topic. If the spreading of misinformation is so dangerous, and we must set up a committee to regulate it, why aren't we setting up a committee to regulate CNN? Why aren't we setting up a committee to regulate MSNBC? Why aren't we setting up a committee to regulate all the news networks in America? Weird. Almost as if we already had them on side, and turns out it's not really about misinformation at all. In fact, when misinformation has a political purpose and only repeatedly goes one way from one outlet, there's a word for that. It begins with P. Piss. No, it's propaganda, of course. If you said piss, you're wrong, and you might have a problem. Just to show you exactly what it's about, we'll go over to data scientist, very important, Max Wolf, data scientist, from BuzzFeed. Mark Zuckerberg says that Facebook doesn't push content that makes people angry. But anger is a matter of perspective. And, of course, his perspective is the right one, yes. The top posts on Facebook pages like Ben Shapiro, Dan Bongino, and others listed by Facebook's top 10 don't have angry reacts. They have love and wow reacts. In other words, Ben Shapiro bad. So Max Wolf says that Facebook's bad because they're sharing conservative content. And because people enjoy it, they're cloaking their secret anger. And therefore, Mark Zuckerberg, an eminently more successful person. Well, he's a fucking android, but an eminently more successful person. He literally does look like Data from fucking Star Trek. It blows my mind. But, an eminently more successful AI than this guy. So, yeah, that. Then, this is everyone's favorite, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. Right, here we go. I'll even play the audio.
Now, the only people in the world who are trained to analyze these experiments,
dedicated oversight body, just for Facebook,
are people who grew up inside
just for Facebook,
Pinterest, or another social media company.
For
and
now,
there needs to be a regulatory home where someone like me could do a tour of duty after working at a place like this, and have a place to work on things like regulation, to bring that information out to the oversight boards that have the right to do oversight.
A regulatory agency within the federal government.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with regulatory bodies in the federal fucking government. I mean, I don't know if anyone knows anything about the fucking 1950s, but yeah, maybe McCarthyism is the answer. Maybe we do need to know if there's a fucking Facebook user under your bed. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Francis Haugen is right. We need a dedicated regulatory agency to hold Facebook and other big tech companies accountable for how their algorithms push misinformation and how our data is used and misused for their profit. We need a data protection agency. You see, it's all about misinformation. It's, and don't worry about the fact most misinformation comes from mainstream outlets. Don't let that fucking baffle you. Don't, I'm still, where's the PP tape? Do we ever get to see that? Oh, no, it was a complete lie. Paid for by the Democrat Party. Yes. You funded a foreign operative to create a disinformation document that you then released to fucking BuzzFeed and then reported on every mainstream news outlet as being real, only for it to come out that it was completely false. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I see no problem with this. Yeah, you get to regulate the internet. You, the DNC. That's fine. Vox were left confused because they took a poll. Well, actually, they were displaying data from Quinnipiac, or however the fuck you pronounce it, political polling company. A narrow majority of Americans oppose more regulation of social media, with Republicans especially against it. Yes, because they're the ones that are going away. For now, that's the way the boot is being kicked. It can easily change. No one thinks ahead. Perhaps an artifact of opposition to government regulation in general, or that government equals Biden right now. But look at this. Do you think there should be more government regulation over social media platforms like Facebook? Right? A total of people, 45%. Regulate me harder, Daddy. I love you, Daddy government. Regulate me, keep me safe, swaddle me up in the blanket so I can't hurt myself and just sleep. How fucking twisted has the media got Americans? How fucking demented that you would surrender all this shit away without even a fight. A fucking country where it's codified that you have guns to fucking protect yourself. And you fucking... take all our freedoms, actually. Well, just get rid of the Second Amendment, then. It's fucking nonsense at this point. You don't give a fuck about anything. Take away the first, take away the second, take away them all, fuck it. Get rid of the Constitution. This LARPing fantasy you have about, freedom isn't free, because folks like you and me. You don't give a fuck. You let big government fuck you any which way. Facebook is harming our society. Here's a radical solution for reining it in. Guess what it was? It was regulating it. Australia, who I don't know if you've noticed, are just beating people in the streets for being 200 meters away from their front door. They were like, yeah, actually. And on top of all of that, Facebook should be held liable for anonymous comments. Anything an anonymous commenter says on Facebook, this is a proposition from the fucking Australian Prime Minister. Any anonymous comment, i.e. one that cannot be traced to a person, if they say something offensive, derogatory, libelous, Facebook should be held accountable for that. Everyone should be identifiable. Everything they say, all of the time, in totally not totalitarian Australia. I guess, as always, one of the last sort of sane voices in the landscape. I'll let Glenn Greenwald bring us to a close. And he's observed what I've observed. And that is that you can see here, yes, the Facebook files, Frances Haugen will be on 2 all-star panels immediately. So in a space of fucking 3 days, she did 60 minutes, a Senate committee hearing. She'd been leaking shit to the Wall Street Journal for fucking 2 weeks prior, and now she's going to be a public speaker and all of this stuff. And he's gone, I've never seen such a slickly engineered brand creation as this Facebook whistleblower. While actual whistleblowers linger in prison, exile, and bankruptcy, her star keeps rising. Catch her next on this Yale panel, where she'll urge more government control over the internet. My prediction is that in 2022, Frances Haugen will be the first ever whistleblower to attend the Met Gala in a gown elegantly spray-painted with the phrase, government control of social media. Oh, he's funny, isn't he, that Glenn? But there are some problems. Let me reel them off. You see, if you criticise that this is the most obvious op in the history of obvious ops, if you say that, if you point that out, you're a conspiracy theorist. You know how this works by now, guys. As soon as you say, listen, she's clearly got ties to the Democrat Party. This looks a little bit biased to me. This has got problems. Soon as you do that, they go, he's out. He's turned into Alex Jones, hasn't he? He's turned into Alex Jones. I remember I got I'm back up to 117,000 followers on YouTube. Incredible. I know. I finally, after all the content, all of the street, yeah, the numbers going up now, right? And remember, what always happens is it goes up, and then I say something that's true, and then it goes down, right? You know, whenever I have these big spikes, right, it goes up, and then I did a video about the Hunter Biden laptop story and said it was all genuine, and the number went down by about 2,000, dropped back to 115, and then it went up. And then there was an argument with a popular YouTuber where 1,000 people felt compelled to unsubscribe from me because I was a bad man all of a sudden. And now we're back. And it might be this. Maybe no one wants to come along for the ride, that this is the most fucking outrageous, obvious, contrived load of bullshit. But let's just talk about the whistleblower's ties, right? Like, because Frances Haugen was, as we know from Facebook, she wasn't a big deal. She wasn't a big decision maker. It was pointed out that she's donated exclusively to Democrat politicians, but she's given most of them to like Act Blue, which is like a PAC, and they're all small donations, and I don't think that is problematic in and of itself. But also, do you know who represents her? This slick PR offensive that she's doing, you know who it is? It's the PR firm that Jen Psaki, the press secretary, used to work for. Right? And it doesn't end there, right? Because that's a coincidence, isn't it? A bit of a... Do you remember who Eric Chiaramella is? Do you remember him? The fake whistleblower that they set up to try and impeach Trump over a phone call? Well, her lawyers are his legal team. So that's the big Facebook debacle. And as I want to make abundantly clear to you all, what you must absolutely do is just disengage from these social media platforms. Before, it was for your mental health. Now, it's because anything you express on these platforms is just going to get given up to the US government. And I don't know, I think most of my audience probably doesn't say anything too contentious, but that line's constantly being eroded and moving away. If you engage in anything politically, if you've shared a political meme, if you share a fucking gif of Donald Trump wrestling the CNN logo, CNN reporters dox you and force you to apologize. If you join a Facebook group that's pro-Donald Trump, CNN journalists turn up on your doorstep and harass you, even if you're a 60-year-old woman. They are fucking absolutely out for blood if you deviate. And these platforms are astroturfed. If you don't know the term what astroturfing means, astroturfing, it's a play on words because grassroots, right? If something is natural and organic, so fake grass is astroturf. So it's, you know, it looks like a grassroots movement, but it's not. It's a marketing campaign or a government imperative. Reddit is almost like, don't believe, you know, an account that's just been created 2 fucking hours ago. Yeah, I felt compelled to make this account to talk about this political issue. Oh, 1,000 upvotes in 10 minutes. Definitely not a bunch of burner phones doing that. And it's on the front page. And, oh, look, there's moderators of this subreddit commenting in it. No. It's all fake, contrived bullshit. The battle that's about to rage between the US government, these platforms, and free speech is going to be deliberately obfuscated, like 9/11 was, where it was going to be a temporary relinquishing of freedoms. You're going to be told that you'll get another insurrection. Deadly white supremacist terrorists ready to take over the country. The whole way of life's going to collapse. Democracy's going to collapse. So we just got to temporarily give up some internet freedoms, guys. That's all. You know, we'll give you them back. We always do. No thanks. Not for me. That is a hill worth dying on.